It's not an AMA. Short recap about the games. This is a play-by-play. No Instagram, these holograms. Boy, these ain't the same. This out Harmon, you know we do things a different way. We got in the room, come join the team, but don't be in the way. Stay tuned, join that Patreon. We do giveaways. Make nutted than ATM, you know they on a different wave. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, pick a day. This out Harmon, you know that we glad you here today. This not an AMA. This not an AMA. This not an AMA. Short recap about the game. This is the play-by-play.
We're back. We're back. Week 10. Week 10 NFL recap. Let's get it, Adam. Thinking of what I wanted to wear tonight. I don't have many excuses to ever wear an Antonio Gibson jersey, so when he scores a touchdown, I got to throw it on. I know he's not deserving of a hologram, but Gibby, I got you. I threw your jersey on, buddy.
Last year, just for you, we had two cooked up for Mike, and this year, I don't know if you remember, you probably do. We had a funeral for him, the hologram at least. You know, it's all gone, but it was fun to see some usage out of the kid, especially out of the receiving game.
It was a nice wheel route down the sideline right there. Sammy put him on him, so we'll see if he gets another one. Right? If he gets another one, it's
maybe you have to bring it back. Back from the dead, Undertaker style.
That's the Undertaker. He ain't getting another one, but it's fun to think about.
I guess if you couldn't just get rid of him in best ball, he did something for you, right?
He did, and you probably couldn't get rid of him unless you cut him.
That's what I mean. Well, meaning you didn't have the balls to cut him.
No.
So, all right, Mike.
Canton. Where's the lights?
Can we get the lights, please? You know what the story is.
South Harmon hologram. Power on.
Woo. All right, man. We got a lot to talk about this week.
It was an exciting week.
I was going to say, Mike, I was actually kind of overall. I think my expectations were lower given how many teams were having. How many of the really good teams it felt like had buys, right? And
right. Like all the really good fantasy scorers not playing this week.
Yes.
We got shit show primetime matchups. We got a damn Frankfurt game. It was like, oh no.
It just had that feel. So I kind of went in with low expectations. And because of that, I don't even think you had to have low expectations, but because of low expectations especially, it was a great week. All right, Mike, let's start off with the Amari Cooper game.
The Amari Cooper game.
We were out here disrespecting this man.
First off, congratulations to you and your Browns. Eric as well. Big Browns fans.
Yep.
You guys got a W, man. You pulled that shit out.
Yeah, man. We got – that game was a whirlwind of emotions for a Browns fan. Felt like we were going to get our teeth fucking kicked in at first, and then hung around. We came back. We were trying to mess it up at the end. It was a good one, man. It was a good one.
I'm sorry. There's two things I learned today. First one I'll get to right now. I'm not disrespecting Amari Cooper.
Ever again? I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Exactly.
Yeah. My apologies. I don't care how many offensive linemen are out, how tough the defense looks that they're playing, how shaky Deshaun Watson has looked. I don't fucking Amari Cooper. Put him in my lineup. Sorry.
It's interesting because, Mike, we talked about how we wanted no part of the run game at all in this Cleveland offense. Split work and this situation with the O-lineman. Mike, we got an 100-yard rusher with three offensive linemen out versus the Ravens? What?
They did it, man. They knew what they were doing. Hey, Kareem Hunt got a touchdown too, and I benched his head.
Exactly. So even if you started Kareem Hunt, you ended up getting a tutty, so you could have done a lot worse.
That was the day.
I will say David Njoku didn't do a whole lot for your fantasy teams. That was as good as he's looked, though, I think, in the NFL. He had some plays that really excited me for the Browns, but for fantasy, it's 658. It's okay. It's whatever.
Yeah, kind of a below average, right? Like, he's going to be a tight end one on the week, but who gives a fuck, right?
It's exactly. What does a tight end one actually even really mean,
People, who is a tight end one this week? Who gives a shit, right?
All right.
Brock Wright's going to be a tight end one this week.
R.I.P. Elijah Moore scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm not doing this shit again.
I'm not. I'm just again, best ball. You have him. You got to just roll with him. He has no value. So you got a touchdown out of him.
You could have thrown on your Elijah Moore jersey at least. How about that?
Yeah. What about so what do you make of Watson? There a lot of the roughest start maybe I've seen from him as a whole. Then he has the ankle injury. You're not sure if he's going to play. He comes back. He really helped his team down the stretch, I think, win this game. Stats won't show the way he finished, but the way he started was gross. The way he finished was great. I don't really even know what to make of the guy, honestly, frankly, weekly right now.
There's a lot of bad quarterback play out there this week.
Terrible.
And I think we can just move past Deshaun Watson. It's not that he played bad, but there was 5 other dudes who we expected way more from that played even worse, 10 times worse than Deshaun Watson. So
he started horrifically. Now, okay, so let's go ahead then, Mike, and let's get to the.
We could put our pitchforks down for a week on Deshaun Watson.
What about Lamar?
And pick your pitchforks back up for Lamar Jackson.
This one was one I did not see coming this bad. Like he took off to run a few times, but he didn't do much on the ground. Truthfully, right?
Nope.
His passing volume was low, and his completions were low, and his touchdowns were 1, and he had more turnovers. It was like a whirlwind of everything going wrong.
His efficiency was low. He doesn't get that touchdown or 40 yards if OBJ doesn't look like prime OBJ. Right?
Yeah, the one play on the slant, right? The slant to the crib, they're going crazy too.
He looked like prime OBJ on that one, and then he didn't do fuck all for the rest of the game. So back to us not caring about OBJ outside of maybe a best ball deep stash. But Mark Andrews didn't really have a good day. Lamar Jackson was bad. He missed 2 deep shots to wide open. One of them was to Zay Flowers, where I was almost jumped out of my chair because I was like, "Oh, there it is. Oh my God, he missed it."
That one was wide open, dude. Wide open. By the way, that was the only thing that saved my sit of Zay Flowers to not be an egregious call, because if he catches that, I'm looking really dumb. Zay had 5 for 73 without that.
Lamar's actually been pretty mid, if we think about it. Seems like every recap show, I always want more. I want more from this offense, and we never really see it. So.
I think we had the 1 week where they played the Lions, actually, of all teams, and they absolutely went bananas. He had a pretty good game before that, so it's like, all right, maybe we're finally getting there. Yeah. And guess what happened? Since then, it's been right back to mid or below.
I get it, though, too. I mean, Cleveland is a very, very good defense. I've been saying that all year.
Ward ended up leaving, though. Didn't come back. They had plenty of chances to have something go right. I'm going to ask you a question here. And this is just – I'm not going to make too much of this, but, like, I'm very confused. Okay, so Keaton Mitchell had that run early. He was so fast it looked like that the angles weren't even bad. He just – you couldn't account for that. He didn't even get much work after that. He had five touches for over 50 yards. Why?
They got him heavily involved early. They were designing plays for him. He was explosive. The Cleveland defense didn't really seem to have an answer because they're throwing screens to him out wide. They got him on the edge. They were using him kind of I don't know if I talked with Eric or if it was when I was with Cody and Maddie on Sunday night. So go over to their channel after this is over. Tap in, do the watch along with those guys. Those are really cool. Yeah. But we were talking about Keaton Mitchell. I was like, why can't he be a little A-chainess? A-chain-ness to him. And they were using him in that way, and it was working. And I was like, holy shit, like we might have found something. And then to your point, why? We just went right back to Gus. We just had to get, Justice Hills a couple carries. I have no idea why.
That was one of the most puzzling things of the game to me too. The incredibly efficient and looking like, to your point, it looked like they hadn't seen a guy with that much speed. The angle on that touchdown wasn't. It just looked like they took an angle they didn't expect him to be that fast on the corner.
I hope this shows up on Eric's America's Game. What the fuck are we doing segment?
It should be, because the thing is that once that was gone, Mike, their offense outside of that OBJ touchdown was just so predictable and non-explosive. I would say.
I will say this: if you look at the game total, maybe people forget about Keaton Mitchell. I want to go see if I can get him just in a few spots. I want a few more shares of him, just in case they fucking smarten up and actually use them the way they started to, right?
Yeah.
For the rest of the year.
I'm not asking for the guy to get bell cow work or anything, but like he has 5 touches. He's really efficient. Why not give the kid 10, 12? Right? It doesn't make sense.
12 touches a game. That's all I need. A couple design plays for him. Use him in the receiving game. That's it.
Yep.
Don't hammer him up the middle like Dallas does with Tony Pollard, right? His shit better be to the outside or in the screen game.
100%. Now, the other thing was Andrews he had 44 yards, 2 catches. when Lamar plays poorly, I think people don't quite realize. I have him in a bunch of places, so I do realize his floor is not as safe as we maybe once thought.
I would say his floor is probably a little bit better than George Kittle's because we've also seen his just be completely shitty. So the difference between the two, I think George Kittle's spikes are much bigger than Mark Andrews, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Mark Andrews has a little bit higher floor, but it's still like almost a George Kittle-esque floor where it's like, he didn't do shit for me, man. I could have played Brock Wright. It would have been better.
Well, the reality is like at the tight end position, I would agree with that, but in prior years, it was that Mark Andrews' ceiling was ridiculous while his floor was very, very safe. I would almost rather have the Kittle right now. I'd rather have the lower floor and the higher ceiling for sure.
I'm actually kind of with you. I'm kind of getting on this. If I got Mark Andrews on a contender, let's see what I can do. You know what I mean?
I made a trade, Mike, a big trade, and I traded away Kittle, and I have Andrews on that team, and I really wish I would have tried to flip-flop it and see if I could have kept some value by doing that. Oh, well.
Shit, I got to go get me some TJ Hockenson.
Well, all right, because it's funny. Timing was perfect, Mike. Listen,
nailed it.
I was not a TJ Hawk hater, but I did say Taysom Hill, which makes me, by default, wrong and a hater. And, Mike, great call. TJ Hockenson. Great.
Dog.
Great. I mean, first, it was a great game, but he had a great game in the first half.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. He's only going to get outscored in standard scoring, like ESPN scoring, by a handful of people. Amon-Ra, Brandon Cooks, we'll get to him too, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen. Outside of that, the best standard scoring player was TJ Hockenson. Now imagine what happens when you add tight end premium onto this. Or our boy Recovered Really Truther. Could you imagine what it is in those
2.75, 3 points?
Shit.
I'll tell you this. I'm in just a half-point PPR in a half-point tight end premium. Hawk, I think, got near 40 in that. So just like now, I think there's little bonuses over 100 or whatever, but still, the point is like now. Why is all this possible, Mike?
Nuts. And
why is all this possible?
Sam Howell with the ice blood in his veins, tying it up.
Sammy Howell's playing well. It's all possible because Josh Dobbs has, I think, at least saved their season for what it could have been. It could have been tragic. It could have been completely dumpster fire. This is saving the offense for the fantasy for fantasy for sure, man.
I like Josh Dobbs, and some people pointed out he's got a little Lamar Jackson to him, a little Lamar Jackson light to his game, just kind of how he plays. Mm-hmm. Probably not the most efficient, but he's definitely exciting. Every play's kind of alive. He does some things out there for us. He force feeds the shit out of TJ Hockenson. If he gets a rushing touchdown on the day like he did with his rushing floor that he has about 40, 50 yards a game, he's going to be good for fantasy purposes for the rest of the year. Now, I saw some people saying, like, he should be the starter in Minnesota next year. All right, just pump the fucking brakes, man. There's a reason that he's bounced around from team to team forever.
Let me help.
It's a good story, but chill.
Let me help give the gap there. I think he's playing well enough and has played well enough now for two teams that he should get a chance to start somewhere. I don't know that it should be in Minnesota because I think when Kirk Cousins is back, it's Kirk Cousins' team. Like I think
if they
that.
Bring Kirk Cousins back next year,
yes.
Right?
Correct. But I do think that Josh Dobbs, because like we're seeing the NFL, the landscape, I think he's playing well enough to give himself a chance to start for a team that just doesn't have a quarterback solution. Right? I'm not telling you he's a long-term answer. I think there's a team out there that's not going to have a hole at quarterback that should use Josh Dobbs as the starter for the year for them, or at least the starting point of the season.
I hope they don't give him a Geno Smith type contract. I hope that doesn't become the case, Adam. Right, because we're seeing now in Seattle with what Geno Smith is, that this is probably a pass, man. And we've seen people do it with Jimmy Garoppolo, if we just want to keep it in that sense, too. This is a stopgap option, man. And has he earned the right to play or to compete for a job as a stopgap option? 1,000%. 1,000%. I can't deny it. But people get too much caught up in this backup quarterback bullshit. And it's like, there's a reason this dude never won a job before now.
Well, part of it is too. There's a human element aspect, a feel good story, right? This team looked like it was all over. You go from Kirk Cousins tearing the Achilles, the team's crying. Then the next week it looks awful with Jaron Hall. He comes in off no time with the team, saves the day. Then he comes out, looks very good in this game versus New Orleans. So I think there's just you get caught up in 3 weeks in a row with that, and I think that's to the point you're making. Mm-hmm. Let's just not get too carried away here. All right, it's still the NFL and it's still quarterback. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah,
Addison, I think
I feel bad for Vikings fans though. They had an opportunity to tank and potentially get a good QB2 or QB3 in this upcoming class, and now that ain't gonna happen.
I do think that oh, here we go. Daniel Keegan. Free Xbox. As soon as I saw this, I knew exactly what that was.
He's still on timeout till 12:30 tomorrow.
Listen, Dan, Xbox, Johnny, whatever you want to go by. You're in timeout, buddy. This is what timeout looks like. Okay. Now, because of the financials of this, you can get out of timeout for a super chat, but aside from that, you cannot get out of timeout. So anyway, Mike, let's go to the.
I'll get him out of timeout after the show. He's earned that much. But let it be a lesson to you. You mess up again, your ass is going right back in.
I will say there's some bad things happening that started this, but we'll get to that later. Kamara, what the Saints as a whole? Chris Olave did get in the end zone and had a good day for himself, right? Kamara did not really.
Jameis Winston. It's going to be the catch-22. See how much longer Winston's going to play, how long Carr's going to be out. If they make the switch, even if Carr's like kind of banged up, if they want to go to Jameis. They didn't in the past. They seem to really love Derek Carr. I don't think Carr's a bad quarterback, but Winston does kind of do something for this offense, not for NFL wins perspective, because he's actually pretty ass at playing quarterback if you really want to think about it. But for fantasy purposes, he's very good for the wide receivers. It'll probably nuke the shit out of all the Taysom Hill that we wanted, but it will boost Michael Thomas. It will boost Chris Olave. It will boost A.T. Perry in your deep dynasty best balls,
and it will
at
kill
the
this
expense
guy.
of killing Alvin Kamara. So,
yeah, because I think
want?
People have to understand about the difference in Carr and Winston, right? Because Winston's going to come in. First of all, you saw the amount of time he played, the excitement and the agony he can give you. In just that small sample size, everybody, okay?
2 touchdowns and then 2 picks.
I mean, in one of them, like, bro, you're like, who are you throwing to? You're just throwing it. Jameis is back.
There's a reason he was.
You need the good stuff to start, and then you also need to be reminded every time with a really bad throw from him that where things are at. This is what I guess I would say. Kamara right now, you look at this, even on a horrible day today, Mike, 7 catches. PPR leagues, right? Think about that.
Right. Not bad.
That's dead in the water with Jameis, really, right? Like those days are not happening. So if you are a Kamara owner, you want them to find a way, and hopefully Carr is healthy. And if not, it's a boost for Olave, it's a boost for Shaheed and receivers, but it's going to come at the expense of Kamara and probably Hill, to your point.
Right. Jameis was god awful today too. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. The stats, if you don't watch the game, the stats are not telling of how kind of nuts the whole thing looked. All right, Mike, let's, as much as I'd like to keep talking about the Saints, we got to get to some really exciting games. So, Canton, what do we know about the this Texans-Bengals game?
Here's the thing. He absolutely cannot be stopped. To the moon.
Let's go. Taking off. Look at this rocket ship.
Going to the moon, buddy.
CJ Stroud, SpaceX.
I mean, Mike, 105, 106 this year in a rookie draft. And you're talking about a guy that just is going to now, because of the Jaguars loss, they're in the division race right now. This is a top, we've already said top 8. I don't know if it changes much. I think for me, the T-Law thing and him have to switch, period.
Hey, this is pretty easy, right? You said 105, 106 in rookie drafts is where he was going.
That's now it's a startup?
Now you just make it 105, 106 in startups.
It'd be if you were in a startup, Mike, and you just finesse somebody. You send the 105 and you get the 105 back.
I just traded him away too, like today or yesterday.
Did you?
Yesterday.
What was the offer? It better have been damn good.
Best ball. I think I got like 6 pieces back.
Okay.
Something like that.
Was this one of those that you're trying to just make a crazy push as a contender?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going balls deep.
All right.
I got like Baker, Sam Howell as 2 quarterbacks back for the CJ Stroud, then a bunch of other like those second, borderline first type talents. It's like, here you go. CJ Stroud's awesome. I'd like to win a championship though.
I do also want to say that this is now the second week in a row, Canton, for what?
Y'all really tried Noah Brown.
Nah, we got.
He's on fire!
Oh.
Noah Brown, man. Don't play this game now. This was a game he had. I don't care if listen, the reality is it's CJ Stroud that's making the whole offense go. But that's the reason that Noah Brown carries upside. I mean,
so what is he, like dynasty wide receiver 3 for you now?
3? Yeah, he definitely. He's
top
5. Yeah.
Jefferson.
Listen, it's okay to say Noah Brown, you were right 2 weeks in a row without saying, "Oh, he's got to be wide receiver 3 in dynasty." Get out of here with this.
How high is he?
He is a I don't even know at this point. Like I definitely want him now in lineup, but I don't know how much I care. Frankly, you know,
okay.
he's a flex for me. I feel fine flexing him in lineup leagues, and in best ball leagues, I'm ecstatic where I got him everywhere.
Okay, what are you paying for him in best ball?
What's
the price where you go with this is too stupid for me to not?
I think on a contender, I could flirt with a late second, maybe. You know, I know I'm probably gonna end up totally burning this, right? It's probably gonna end up being a bad play process wise, but Mike, just the upside he carries weekly on a best ball roster, I know it's probably an overpay, but I'll throw away a late second. That's probably where I stop.
Okay, all right. You really do like Noah Brown.
I like the offense. I like the Texans' offense. I think that there's 3 people weekly that could have a spike type week over 100 yards in this offense. So that for me is basically Tank Dell, you know, Nico Collins and Noah Brown. The Robert Woods thing, I don't know what happened. It was like early maybe there was some Robert Woods love, and now it's not. It's more for me about, like, I'm saying that's the top end dollar I'd pay. Mike, I'd love to send a couple thirds or a third or something, maybe something like that. Okay. I don't know that you can. He's coming off a 170-yard game and a 100-yard game last week. You're going to just buy the guy right now at super cheap? It's going to be hard to do that. I probably don't want to send draft capital in general. I have enough shares on my own that I picked up cheaply. You know what I mean?
I get you. I'll trade his ass away. I'm still there.
That's fine. I mean, I just think you get pieces of this offense. And let's get to the next guy, Mike. Because here's the thing. I thought this was never happen. Devin Singletary. The whole offense is eating out here. All right.
Everybody.
These are the type of pieces down the stretch in a playoff push that could absolutely be part of you winning, you know, in best ball especially, right? I'm not going to say Singletary specifically, but why not? I don't know. If he's got the backfield to himself, you see a game like this, these guys probably are to be had still relatively cheap. No one's out here paying out the ass for Noah Brown or for Singletary, I don't think. So if I can get him, I mean, you would think not, but
all I can say too, best advice for those dynasty rebuilds who maybe happen to have some of these turd nuggets, move them. Today. Stop trying to, you know, Adam said he would do. Somebody gives you a third, 2/3 for these guys. See ya. Get off my team.
If you're in a full rebuild, Noah Brown should be going. You don't have to get a second. I'm talking about what I would maximize and overpay. Correct. And know I'm overpaying. If I can get off with Noah Brown for 2/3, I'm done. He's done. If the worst I can get, like best case scenario is a 3rd round pick, I'm probably just taking the 3rd, Mike, frankly. I already found money with that. So
just get him off your team, please.
All right, let's we got so much to talk about today. Trenton Irwin, the hologram that deservedly need to be up here. Bang. Touchdown.
2 catches.
Get a touchdown in baseball. That's all you want. That's all you could possibly want.
All right, that's fair.
And he could have had a chance at a second one. But I'll tell you what. Who was it specifically? I can't remember, Mike. But why were we worried about Joe Burrow this week?
I don't know. People were worried about
Higgins?
Joe Burrow.
Y'all hate T. Higgins.
They despise him. They despise T. Higgins. He's not playing. Now we're panicked. I don't know. People are also a little bit worried about Ja'Marr Chase. Like, I don't get it. Those guys are healthy. You play them. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Talk about some Himothy's right there. Now, they did take the L because C.J. Stroud is good.
Yeah, so we can get through, you know, the offense as a whole for Cincy was good. It moved. Tyler Boyd, start of the week, he dropped a touchdown that could have won him the game possibly.
Could have.
But he did have a good game. The whole offense as a whole was fine. I think this was a great fantasy day. And C.J. Stroud, what I like to see, Mike, especially, C.J. Stroud made a pretty big error late in the game that had a chance to cost them, and then he still went down and was able to, like, put it all together. They win the game in Cincy. Huge. Yeah. Nobody could have pictured that for the Texans this year, man.
Irv Smith is, if he hasn't already been dead for you, please just move him to the deceased pile. This is a whatever the fuck Tanner Hudson is. So Tanner Hudson in best ball, or if that's going to be your A-Warp tight end, that's the dude. Go get him.
I added a couple this week, Mike, and oddly,
Thanks to Eric.
Thank you, Eric. And oddly, I know there's at least one or two leagues where I was just checking, and it's funny. I have like one's like 28-man roster, so I'm gonna have to make a cut now to get him in. But I'm like, why did I? Hindsight's 2020. I'm like, this guy, I don't know yet. Now I'm gonna be pissed if I don't get him, next week. So
right.
Oh well.
Could have jumped on it early, right?
Yep. Okay, let's get to the one-sidedness of the Jags and Niners game. Let's just talk about concern level for Trevor Lawrence as an elite fantasy asset.
Can we start having this? You yelled at me early in the year.
Well, here's the thing, because I even made the case. I said it in Heisman, or not Heisman, our Discord, that Savage, right? I said, the reality is I made a lot of defense. I defended Trevor Lawrence because it's early. There's certain game scripts. We've seen enough from this guy, I think, early in his career. But this is like week 5 or something we had that conversation, Mike. And I'm like, okay, there's a long season left. We're now over halfway through the year. And I think some of those mid games or low games are fine, even for elite quarterbacks. But when we're this far along and you're having these type of performances and we haven't really seen this game that reminds you, okay, this is that guy, right? That's why I was a little staunchly defending, is because let's give the guy some time this year. It's early in the season. Now, Mike, I think to your point, not only can we have the conversation, I think we need to. I think it's imperative to talk about how I think he's still very highly valued and should be in Dynasty, but I do think there needs to be a gap in him going to a different tier than probably the top, 8, 9 guys for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in that top 8 anymore.
Not right now.
I'd take 2 over him 10 times out of 10. So
that's a crazy conversation starter right there, because I think that's the line. To me, he's the one that I would say that there's 9 probably for me, and he would be the one. After that, I think you can say T-Law's in the mix. But this is a lot of mid this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of mid.
With as good as Kyler Murray looked coming back in his first game off ACL.
People said he couldn't run, remember?
Kyler Murray.
I feel like with Kyler, I would like to see another game, but I don't know if you're going to get a chance to see another good game and have a chance to trade T-Law for him. So, that's a tough one, boy. That's a tough one. The thing is, Mike, you know how Kyler's value is in Dynasty. So many people hate this guy right now. But I have a feeling that the pitchforks are going to start coming for Mr. Trevor Lawrence sooner than later if he keeps up this midness, right?
I'll sell. And I'll tell you, I'll sell for any of these and any kind of plus. Any.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Tua, Anthony Richardson, Kyler, Justin Fields, and another quarterback people hate, Bryce Young.
Ooh. Bryce Young, too. Okay. The Fields one and the Bryce Young for me are where, I'm not necessarily going to do that. But every other one you said there for sure, and I'm not even going to say you can't. I'm just saying I'm not to that point. But everyone before that, I think it would be a very savvy move, frankly, if you could get those done. Bryce has a lot of concern around him, but he's got a little more of a window, I think, of value insulation possibly. Trevor Lawrence could start going down.
Is there a possibility you can still get Jared Goff in a first for Trevor Lawrence? Is that still a thing?
You know what's funny, Mike? I was drawing up an offer in best ball for literally that. I was going to tear down from Trevor Lawrence to Jared Goff and get some pieces back to help me win. And I kind of was like, man, this seems like I shouldn't do this. And I really wish today I would have done that. And I don't know. I'm gonna go back to the offer and try to see what I can get. I think here's the thing though: the offense and the team of Detroit. I feel like it's gonna be hard to get a contender to move off of Goff. You know what I mean?
All right. What about Deshaun Watson in a second? Would you do that?
Oh man, I don't know. The only reason is why I still have yet to see a real full game out of Watson. He was terrible for the first half of this year.
I've yet to see one out of Lawrence this year. So
I know, but you know how bad Watson's value is.
This is Pam from the offense. Corporate needs you to spot the difference. It's the same picture.
Let me ask you this: what is your concern then for the offensive pieces in general with what we're seeing?
Christian Kirk, good. Travis Etienne, good. Fuck you, Calvin Ridley. Never again. I am done with you forever. Evan Ingram is a middle-of-the-pack borderline tight end 1 type, which really doesn't matter at all. So
yeah, I told people to start Christian Kirk. There may have been some.
I'm sorry, Christian Kirk. I believe the Calvin Ridley thing. I am now a lover scorned. He goes into that Josh Kelly territory. Never again.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk is going to be just one of these guys that feels like it's going to be a forever value. Like he's never going to get to where this price should be in Dynasty. Ridley has been a boy, especially with week 1, Mike. He came and fooled all of us, huh? ETN, I think is weird, man. He did not have a very good day at all. This is a great defense, but I'm not like worried about his future at all. Here's a bad one, Mike, for you at least. Let's get to it.
No, you played well. What do you want?
No, well. I just put it on the screen. I want whatever you got.
You played well. I'm glad to see the chirpers are back out.
They are back. The chirpers are back. They they were hibernating.
Right. They forget that the last 3 weeks happened, and we all saw him play fucking horrible. So he played well. Good for him. I
think here's the question for me and for people probably out there, because the question for me is not. You tell me he's capable of this every once in a while. Okay, but the reality for where Mike and I are at, and where I think a lot of people in the community, can he replicate this very often? I still think the answer is no. But
he's still going to finish at like QB7 on the week. Like, what are we talking about?
I think he was like quarterback 3 or 4 when I looked last.
Outscored by Dak, Justin Herbert, Josh Dobbs, Sam Howell, Geno Smith, and then Brock Purdy, and we still have Josh Allen to go as a reasonable projection to score more fantasy points.
Okay. I guess it might depend on the scoring format.
Again, this is where I get into it. People hate this. Points per game and weekly finish, like you can talk about this all you want. You can come with me with the points per game, and he scored 20 points this week and yada, yada, yada. This is why he's not a good warp quarterback, Adam, because look at how many other quarterbacks scored 20 points this week. He did nothing to separate himself from other options. You're actually better off if you started Geno, Sam Howell. Shit, you started Joe Burrow, you got pretty damn close, right? And it was a bad Joe Burrow week, right? Not the greatest.
I'm looking here because I'm looking here. Did he have some like decent rushing today? He's quarterback 4 in this league I'm looking at right now, but I guess it depends on scoring. No, Purdy is. He's just ahead, but he's just ahead of Geno, so he must have had some rushing stats.
I'm just looking at ESPN scoring right now for quarterbacks, and he is currently QB6.
QB6, okay. Yep. So I mean, well, to the point you're making, I think though he right now this week he might be in a very close stats with Geno and with Dobbs, right? Those guys are there. So
this is the thing I talked about earlier in the season when he had a QB7 week, right? When he booms, he's still okay. Like, he's not a difference maker, period. But that's his ceiling. And you guys have seen his floor. So what are we still fucking arguing about? I don't understand. He's decent enough. He's a decent enough NFL starting quarterback. That's it. But to say he's him, like to say he's him, when CJ Stroud is out here walking around just slinging that thing, difference maker week in and week out, a 40-burger threat every single week.
Brett or anybody else out there, if you're talking about CJ Stroud, you're loony bins.
Well, I think we need to reevaluate the definition of him. Okay?
Yeah, I think
because if he's him, then
I hope
Mayfield's him.
Well, I hope this is more of a fucking around.
Jordan loves him. Up. Tommy DeVito had 13 fantasy points this week. Does that mean he's him too?
Oh, come on. I mean, I would say that, Mike, the question is, I think, for me, in best ball, because that's what I play most. In lineup, I think still, unless it's at like a tremendous value, probably not the option I'm looking for the way I like to build in lineup leagues. In best ball, I think the question really becomes, is this a guy that has maybe not tremendous upside, to your point? Like, if this is the ceiling, like this, I'll take this. Everybody would take this week, right? But because you have this mixed in with a bad floor, like, can he be a reasonable quarterback too in a best ball league is, I guess, the question that I'm having with him. Like, I'm not ever going to put him into the elite tier right now, not even close.
Sure
but here's my question: Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, what's the difference
right now in fantasy points? Nothing.
Dynasty, I'm talking.
dynasty value, I think I'd rather be in Trevor Lawrence, as would everybody else.
Agreed, but I'm just asking, like, to your point, when you're talking about getting off of Trevor Lawrence, can you go from Trevor Lawrence and net a real asset to go to Purdy?
Yeah, you get a first plus.
If you could do that, I think I'd probably do that, man. Especially in best ball, because right? you can get an extra plus. So
I came off Joe Burrow earlier in the season for Brock Purdy and a bunch of pluses in a best ball league.
How many pluses? Do you like it?
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3.
Okay,
it's fine.
All right. By the way, to your point,
it's reasonable to do, but I hate that people want to just chirp when he plays QB6, QB7 level, and they want to talk to me like he's a difference maker. He's not. He's not. Stop it. He's not. And his bad is really fucking bad.
This is fine, Adam. Yes, he's better than Heineke was, and Heineke's absolute ass. So I'll give you that.
There you go.
There's your answers. All right, George Kittle, Mike. You know how I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that little subtle detail. He always kind of hits the top there. That's because he's got arguably the top ceiling as a tight end, frankly.
Other than Travis Kelce.
I mean, and Travis Kelce, Mike, I think has a much better floor, much more likely to hit a ceiling. But I think even Kittle could end up beating Travis Kelce on a good week. Mike, this is 3 catches. This was 3 catches today.
3 catches, tight end 3 on the week. Not bad.
I mean, it's pretty
good efficiency.
And that's what Brock Purdy throwing him the football. You know, like it's just right. He's not safe. He's proud, and at this point, he's not sexy anymore. He's not sexy. He's not safe. But man, I think if you have him when he booms, it's sexy to me anyway. Still, Chris McCaffrey, another good game. He did have his touchdown streak broke. They were. I kind of got it, man. You're smoking them at the end, though. It kind of felt like.
Yeah, come on.
I know you want this record, but damn, man. Like, you guys you just beat the brakes off of these people at home. Like, why are we doing this?
We've seen bad shit happen on record chasing, and I'd think back to John Harbaugh and his stupid fucking preseason streak.
J.K. Dobbins. His whole career died right there. And Christian McCaffrey, the other thing I was thinking about, Mike, is like, imagine on the pass they try to throw to him at the very end. Like, what? Imagine if you got Christian McCaffrey hurt in this situation. Not to mention, it's rubbing salt in the wound for Jacksonville if you score there, right? Like
Kyle shenanigans, man.
I get it though. Christian McCaffrey, Mike, he was gonna tie or break the NFL record, whatever it was. So
I love the fact he got 20 fantasy points and he didn't score a fucking touchdown. Like Christian McCaffrey.
This guy is him at the running back position. Brandon Aiyuk had a. I think the thing was overall it was a low volume passing day because of the situation they were in.
Yeah, they didn't need to. They're beating the shit out of Jacksonville the whole game.
All right, let's get into another insanely awesome game to talk about. All right, man. We saw it now. This is the crazy part. We saw both of them. But Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely a stud, and now at least has Campbell giving him real work. Red zone. Monty had red zone work, but so did he. Like, the usage I saw out of Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously combined with how unbelievable he looked. Man, fucking the best situation you could possibly have with Gibbs given the start of the year. You got to be loving it.
It's amazing, right? And all he needs is 15 touches. Kind of like DeAndre Swift only needed 15 touches when he was healthy.
For sure.
At the end, though, Campbell wouldn't give him 15 touches.
Yep. And that was my concern, is literally nothing about Jahmyr Gibbs' talent. It's about the touches. And, Mike, here's the thing. You saw today, he got, 16 touches, right? 17 maybe?
17.
Okay. Mike, almost all of them felt like, holy shit, efficient, and there's upside that you could not even imagine with the way he has the ball. Crazy part, while all that's being said, is that the fucking longest run of the day comes from fucking mine.
David Montgomery.
I'm like,
Jahmyr Gibbs gets 2 goal line touchdowns, which we didn't think was possible. And the longest run of the day, the one who breaks one from 70 plus, is David Montgomery. What a weird.
That was a odd situation, man.
Welcome back, Monty, though. There's a lot of fantasy contenders, redraft teams that really needed him to come back and produce, and he did from jump today. So good for him.
I remember, I don't know if you remember this, everybody listening, Mike. When Campbell got there, he gave a speech, and it was like essentially saying how, he's not going to sugarcoat and bullshit everything, and that the city's been through a lot, this team's been awful, and he kind of gave a really, hyped up speech, and he says, when it's all said and done, when I have the team I want, we're going to basically be really efficient, really good, and we're going to kick you in the mouth. And honestly, Like everybody's probably kind of like, I like that story, but it's the Lions, man. Like, come on, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to watch him doing this and have this team that right now, Mike, is, for me, looks like a team that could compete with almost anybody, man. This team is really good, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to see them play, the way they play, the defensive toughness they have, the offensive firepower they have. Man, this is just a fun offense as a whole to watch. And for fantasy, give me all the attachment to this offense. It's consolidated too, which is fun. You got Gibbs and you got Monty, Mike. Let's not act like Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't also blow up today, right? Like,
goes off. Jared Goff did his thing, got him football. And
then you got Sam LaPorta, and that's pretty much how the offense rolls. Which, Mike, can I say this? If they use this type of a workload for both Monty and Gibbs, and they have the consolidation between LaPorta and Amon-Ra, this is everything you could have ever drawn up for what you want out of this offense.
1,000%. Jared Goff has an awesome day. Monty and Gibbs go off. Amon-Ra is awesome. Sam LaPorta was okay. Yeah. 4 for 40. Not great, not bad, but think about all that. The offense scores 41 points, Adam. 41 points. Looks highly efficient. Everybody's having good days. Guess who ain't having a good day?
Sammy?
Jameson Williams.
Oh, Jameson. Well, he almost scored a touchdown. Keyword almost, right? But got called back. And sorry, but
R.I.P.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the thing. On the Chargers, Mike, Keenan Allen, dog, that is man.
Old steady.
Literally, those are the type of performances. Like, I'm not trying to keep going down the Purdy thing, but Keenan Allen weekly has a chance to win you a week. Lineup, best ball, don't matter. Like, he puts off something like this, and your team's going to have to really struggle to not win a week.
He's good. He's good.
It's ridiculous.
He gives a shit he's 47 years old.
Dude's ridiculous,
especially
man.
Contenders. Now, if you're still holding them on a rebuilder, because this was interesting, got brought up in a couple trades that were thrown around. Okay. Coincidentally, that C.J. Stroud trade. I'm going to hold Keenan Allen. Why, if you're rebuilding? Why? What's the point? What's the lowest you're taking for Keenan Allen, though? Because he is actively fucking up your tank job. Hardcore.
Yeah, I guess
I saw some tanking teams that are going to get W's this week because Keenan Allen's awesome.
I guess the question for me is going to be, like, he is one of these assets that has to go. We put it in the has to go bucket, right? Like, he's got to go. Mm-hmm. So the question for me is, Mike, what if you can't find? I think the problem with him is you'll find that there's only one or two buyers, and if they don't pay up, people are going to get pissed off. Well, the reality is that's the situation of your league then. And so, Mike, here's the question. What is the bottom dollar you'll take? If you get a single first for him, I don't even care what you say. He should be gone, period, for me.
Immediately. You smash the shit out of that.
So if it's not a single first, let's say someone doesn't want to pay a first or they're trying to nickel. Like, what are you looking to get for Keenan Allen bottom dollar if you have to move him on a rebuild?
Second.
Single?
Single.
Damn. I mean, the reality is I think you could probably get more than that, but I'm not going to sit and hold him if that's the only offer that I can get, right? Sure, make your counters.
I'm not allowing the fact I want a second to fuck up me getting out of that good range in 2024, right? We got a pretty strong feeling that there's going to be an elite tier at the top of 3 assets. Mm-hmm. I don't want to fall out of that.
No, of course not. Yeah, I think he's got to go. I mean, can I get it? Can you add it? If you're only getting a single second, can you get a third? Can you get another little piece here and there? But at the end of the day, if you can't, you got to move off of him. Personally, for me, he's getting to the point where you don't want to have that going into the offseason.
But for contenders, he's awesome.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you pay a first? Because I think the conversation, you wouldn't pay a first for Keenan Allen?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I would pay a late first for Keenan Allen. Absolutely. I mean.
Not right now.
Why?
Right. If I'm already a contender and I still got my first at this point, Adam,
yeah.
Think of it from a lineup league. I'm holding that first as late as humanly possible, right? Unless it's in the way of me fucking up getting a bye week, right?
Well, but I think there's plenty of contenders that want to have a chance to get the bye week. Maybe they're in the contention for a bye week, right? They're the 3 seed, and
if you're in that side, but like my true contenders where I'm sitting at right now, I'm still diamond handing the shit out of that first.
Well, you're saying you're talking more so if you're like the number 1 seed and you're looking like you're going to get a bye.
Number 1 or 2 seed, yeah.
Okay, if you're in the driver's seat of the bye and you want to keep waiting, that's fine. But to me, on contender teams, if I needed a receiver, like I'm looking for that extra boost, a single first for this guy, am I late first at this point? Because we're going into week 11. You know now you're not missing the playoffs, right? This is about the time where if I can get that deal done because someone's not been able to get a move done, like this guy could help you. This guy could be the difference in winning you and losing.
All I'm
you
saying,
contender.
you just about got right. You just about took that first, right? Say you made it. You may have won this week, but you just about lost that first for the rest of the year, right?
Sure.
He almost didn't come back in the game. It looked like he broke his fucking collarbone. And
yeah.
Magically, he healed, and now he's good to go. But that's kind of what I'm talking about when you're like, oh, it's just a late first. Like, I'm comfortable with it. Listen, if I don't need to, why do it? Like, if I don't need to, if I'm already in this position without Keenan Allen, we get to week 14, or if we're in one of these leagues that don't have a trade deadline at him, you know, like, and I actually have a playoff matchup that week, and somebody's still holding Keenan Allen at any of the playoffs, yeah, sure. Let me get aggressive here, because now we're in a sudden death, but we're still 3-4 weeks out from, like, this really mattering, and this shit could be taken from you instantly. And I would really hate to be in week 13 or 14 or in the playoff matchup in week 15 going, week 11, I spent a first on Keenan Allen. He's out for the year. Shit.
I mean, I'll say it from this. I think there's going to be scenarios where you don't make it. Either the situation is you're already looking like you're going to get a bye, whatever. But I do think, Mike, I would say there's going to be scenarios like that where you hold, and you could absolutely be correct. But for me, by and large, just in a general standpoint, if I'm not already locked into a bye, I'm a strong contender, I need some boost here and there. Like, yeah, there is definitely risk. That's of course. He's old. He's had injury problems. But if there's a chance, for example, there's someone else in your league that could get him for a first, and they might be considering buying off of this. That's one of those things, too. That has just as much bite you in the ass potential as anything else. This guy right now, if he goes to a team you're competing against, I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I'm gonna be rooting for him to get hurt all of a sudden. I don't normally like to do that, but I would be at the point now where I'm getting close to being willing to take the risk. Could you push it out for another 2 or 3 weeks? Sure. If you can do that, great. But if you know you need to get him now, I'm going to get him. He's been that.
I think in
good.
general that's a fair price. Just on the micro level of strategy, for me, it's probably a no.
And this guy ended up scoring a touchdown. What's your take on Quentin?
He did something, right? Scored a touchdown. I see the chat's going nuts about the Jamison Williams thing. Like, people hate this guy. He's in his true rookie year. Not in his third year.
Yeah. I mean, just saying. I'd rather have Keenan Allen on a contender than Quentin Johnson on a contender for sure.
I think everybody would, Adam. That's a bold take right there. That's like Eric trying to do a start of the week as Deontay Foreman.
I'm trying to make a point, that Keenan Allen's fucking, if we're going to talk about him as a receiver, Keenan Allen's in that territory. I'll pay it first for him if I'm these contenders. Eckler, all right? I don't know. I don't know what it feels like there's been some people that are kind of meh on Eckler. I get it, the age. But this is now, 3 weeks in a row where he's a top 8-6 running back that actually is scoring points to matter. So
yeah. That dude's back.
Yeah, he's back, man. He looks very good.
He's back. For everybody in redraft who took him, in the top 3-4 picks. Now you're getting to see Austin Eckler. Hopefully it didn't kill you the first part of the season, so you're still kind of in the mix. So for your dynasty teams, you're really enjoying the fact you got Austin Eckler now.
All right, let's get to the Seahawks Commanders game, man.
That was a wild one, man. The way that ended.
Yeah, it was. Lockett ended up getting hit. Looked like, I don't know if he was going to come out of the game, and then he goes back in. You talk through some of the points with the Seattle and Commanders game that you got.
Geno still doesn't really look comfortable. Maybe it's an offensive line thing. It was kind of shocking how uncomfortable he looked for a majority of the game until late here. Actually, while we were starting, he did a lot of his damage there in the later part of the fourth quarter. But it was so weird because Washington just traded away Sweat and Chase, and this isn't the Washington defense that we saw at the beginning of the year. This is a pretty depleted one, and for him to still kind of struggle, I was a little bit worried, but he did turn it around, ended up having a great fantasy game. His wide receivers were the beneficiaries, Tyler Lockett being one because he's the one who got the touchdown, but DK Metcalf went 7 for damn near 100.
Yep.
Even JSN did some stuff. His was mostly earlier in the game, right? He went 4 for 53, was getting involved. I thought it was going to be a big JSN game.
It started so fast for him. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the one, right?
Then it really tailed off. Welcome back, Kenneth Walker. Explosive ass. Oh, dude, is there anything more scary? I'm not going to say, because Derrick Henry in the open field with a full head of steam is terrifying.
Say, that's easy. That's easy number one for me.
But how about Kenneth Walker, right? Not only is he a load, but he's off to shifty as fuck. When he caught that screen, and it was just like, see ya.
Yeah.
That guy is ridiculously explosive.
His blend of speed and power, to your point, it's if you watch Seattle, which I don't know what part of the country you live in, if you get a chance to, if you're watching Red Zone, how you watch, but if you watch a lot of Seattle, man, that dude, he just has a way that he moves and the power that he brings with the shiftiness. You don't see very often. Very few people in the NFL have it, and Mike, I was getting a little worried with the injury he's got going on. Like, are we gonna see?
I was just gonna say that we could all take a breath, right?
Yeah, I'm like, can we get the old Kenneth Walker back? And it felt like today it looked very
felt good,
so,
right? He doubled up Zach Charbonnet in touches, so Zach Charbonnet went back to being, like all the other second round running backs, other than HM.
Yep.
He went back to being Kendra Miller and Tank Bigsby, who we didn't even talk about Tank Bigsby, but somebody look it up for me and let me know in the comments, right? Go down in the comments, let me know if you find this. But I'm pretty sure Tank Bigsby's had 3 passes this year. He's tipped to the defense, like that have gone through his. I don't know if we keep stats on that, but just visually, this guy's got like Ben Skoranek fucking stone hands at the running back. So Tank Bigsby is also killing Trevor Lawrence. He hates him.
I love it, man. Okay, so Mike, Sam Howell, blow up.
The Howler. Oh,
man, Mike. There's in one of my strong contenders, somebody bought Sam Howell for a first and a second, and I was kind of like, it's a decent price to pay. Like, he paid up, but I'm like, man, the way I kind of see this offense going, the way I'm watching him, like, I didn't like seeing another really strong contender get Howell for that, even just for that, because I think his upside is showing weekly to be a difference maker at the position. Like, if you add this quarterback to your room, right?
It's crazy, man. Points per game this week, weekly finish, warp, everything that you want to talk about. I don't have people coming on here being like, why don't you guys give Sam Howell more love? Sam Howell is him. Look at Sam Howell.
That's because you love Sam Howell. They all know
he's
that.
He's better than Brock Purdy in every single way. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, especially because this he doesn't have the 49ers like scheme and team going for him too.
He doesn't have Debo, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams.
Let me ask you this, Mike. What did you think of the Commanders' like skill players as a whole today?
Brian Robinson's RB1, man. Look at this guy. It's gonna be RB1. 6 catches. Fucking Brian Robinson. Look at him. Explosive Brian Robinson.
That one down the sideline was like, whoa. He's gonna score on this.
We were joking on this guy on the start sit this morning.
Yeah, I know.
He listened. Brian Robinson's sneaky. Brian Robinson's going to be the sneaky league winner for a lot of people this year.
What's crazy is if you think about Brian Robinson, we got over a 1.5 year sample size now, right? Coming off the shooting, the feel-good story, but you think about all the work, he basically gets all the ground and pound work. 6 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown. He's doing nothing on the ground. Like, that's crazy to think about.
Maybe Ron Rivera finally got one right. He compares every running back he has to Christian McCaffrey. Maybe this is Christian McCaffrey. He finally got one right.
Mike, I didn't do a funeral. I don't know who's there or who's not there, but listen, John Dotson, another 0 for 0 in a game where they scored almost 30 points.
Yeah. It was a nice feel-good story for 2 weeks, wasn't it? He's back.
De'Ami Brown, 2 catches, 41 yards, Mike.
Nah. Curtis Samuel got 6 targets in his first game back. Yuck. Jahan Dotson gets 2 targets. Terry McLaurin didn't even have a big game. This was all Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas, and De'Ami Brown. Who would have guessed that was going to be where Sam Howell got 312 yards from?
Yep. Listen, I think Washington for the rest of the year, they have some sneaky players. It's just not Jahan Dotson, frankly. So
yeah, pass.
All right, let's get to the let's get to the Cards Falcons. And we got 2 games, and then we're up out of here. Cards Falcons, Mike. Kyler Murray is back.
The angry toddler is back, boys and girls.
What do you think overall, like, of how he played?
He played really well, really well. A little rusty. That pick that he threw was not good.
I was just gonna say
that was behind Trey.
He had some errant throws. The pick was absolutely his fault. What it looked like to me. I will say that he has some rust to shake off. To your point, but I do think, like, given the situation and coming off this ACL, the first game back, 6 for 33 and a touchdown, a red zone carry, like.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told he basically wouldn't run. Period. And
he got vultured by Clayton Tune.
Listen, I think there's the rushing actually could end up being solid. It's nothing crazy, but it's still a decent rushing floor that he's getting 6 carries. You know, he probably bumped that up to 7 or 8 soon. He got the touchdown. I think, though, the question becomes, Mike, does he continue to improve? Does he get to the point where he can be a meaningful scorer at the position, or are we going to see a guy that's, you know, we're hoping for really next year to take off? That's, I guess, the question that probably people have.
I think for next year, but this was encouraging.
Yeah.
I think for the rest of the season, you can kind of pencil him in just because we see that the ACL is not really hindering his ability to scramble, run, make some plays, which Kyler's really good at. Now, will the production be down from the past? Probably, but we don't actually know that for sure. He didn't look any worse for the wear off the ACL. Like, if you put me in a box before he tore his ACL and then took me out of the box this year and was like, look at Kyler, does it look like anything happened to him? No, looks like the same guy.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up, they just won.
I'd say you could put him around that QB1 back end, top end QB2 territory for the rest of the year.
Yeah, them winning that game was big, right?
Yes.
They got 2 wins now, but let me, Mike. One thing I really like to do if there's quarterback changes that go to a player that could be the long-term answer. At this point, Kyler is still going to have to go in that could be because people are going to be this way. But point is, you got Kyler Murray coming back, and what happens? Like, I immediately like to see how the target distribution goes down. And for those that were, you know, maybe not paying all that much attention, Trey McBride,
this dude
had a hologram sitting here doing nothing, and it's out. And he came with 8 catches, 131 yards, Mike, at the tight end position.
Ripper was right the whole time. It just took 10 weeks. We did see one game, though, the last, like, Josh Dobbs game with Trey McBride.
Yep.
He targeted the shit out of Trey McBride when Zach Ertz was out. Then the Clayton Tune game happened, and we kind of threw ice water on everything, Trey McBride. But talk about lighting that fire right back up, baby.
I moved him like week 5 and 6 where I could get some real value out of him on some best ball contenders. And I still don't hate it because I have a best ball roster that's good at tight end. But, man, if I would have known this was in there, I probably would not trading him for what I did, honestly.
Kyler threw the ball a lot to Michael Wilson, too.
I was just going to say, he's the next one, man. Like, Michael Wilson, at the end of the day, he almost had that touchdown, too.
I thought that was a touchdown.
I totally thought it was a touchdown.
I don't know how they overturned that one. The one that Clayton Tune got a damn touchdown on.
Yep.
Horse shit.
Yep. So Michael Wilson, the 3 catches, and then I want to at least go over to, listen, Arthur Smith, we still hate you, buddy, but at least we saw Bijan get
thank you 20 carries.
The bulk of the carries, and Algier get less than 10. Like, that's can we see this trend continue? Please. If you're not going to bring Pitts to life, at least let Bijan be the workhorse. You drafted him in the top 10, for God's sakes.
If you're not going to let London and Pitts eat and you can't figure out what the hell you're doing at the quarterback position, let's turn around and hand the ball to Bijan Robinson 20 times, please.
Yep.
Let's just do that, Arthur.
Yep.
Seems easy enough. And listen, they're not in this game if it's not for Bijan.
Nope.
Right? Cardinals knew Bijan was getting the ball because everybody else sucked. He still averaged over 4 yards a carry.
Let's get to I guess we'll try to fly through the Steelers and Packers, but Mike, listen.
Gotta get those people out to that dynamic Jets-Raiders game that everybody's been holding their breath for all week to watch.
Jaylen Warren's hologram creation by Canton comes with a blow-up, Mike.
He did. How we giving? Does Najee get one too? Because he got the end zone.
He doesn't because Najee's supposed to be 1682.
Oh, okay.
The reality is that here's what I didn't expect to see, Mike. 2 rushing touchdowns from the running back position of Pittsburgh. 32 carries that they split evenly between these two.
Yep.
Like that to me is why I'm getting to Jalen Warren. Also, you can only make so many blow up holidays. I did. The reality is Jalen Warren to me has been more of this piece that, even though efficient, ancillary piece. If he's getting 50% of the work, I think that like these games I don't think are going to be happening all the time where you're basically getting 200 yards between the two of them.
That's fair.
I think this kind of lowers the floor of Najee possibly, and we'll see if Jalen Warren really can keep up the efficiency with that type of usage.
I would highly doubt it. It's probably going to be this two-way fuckfest, I guess.
That's more what I'm worried about.
With Najee
honestly.
still leading the charge and probably getting the goal line work. Like Jalen got that by breaking it from outside.
Yep.
I'll say this, though. For Jalen Warren, at least looking forward to the future, the rest of the year is kind of a wash, right? It wasn't what everybody wanted. We thought Jalen Warren, I did not think, people thought Jalen Warren would take over the backfield and he's the more efficient and yada, yada, yada. All I'm saying is if Pittsburgh does move on from Najee Harris in the offseason, Jalen Warren would be the guy because he does have some of that Austin Eckler to the game. Maybe it's the number, maybe it's the size, but he looks a lot like Austin Eckler. So let's say they move on from Matt Canada and they get somebody with a little bit more of a
flair
style in there who doesn't suck. Jalen Warren would be the one for 2024. So just think of that on your rebuilding teams or your dynasty teams heading into the end of this year. Jalen Warren, you might be able to sell him to a contender to get some production because they think they're going to get it because they like this blow-up game, but just keep an eye on buying him back the first time he disappoints the shit out of him. And Najee Harris is the one punching in 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Anything on the Packers side? I know Romeo Dobbs had a touchdown. What was your take? Jaden Reed. Yeah, there you go. Jaden Reed had a game.
Luke Musgrave had a real long catch, 2 long catches, but that was his entire production. The volume's not really there for him. Jordan Love, at least the first half, he wasn't completely like he's been every game this year.
You know what? So it's probably frustrating for Jordan Love owners, and I've seen enough of this now to not be all that worried. He's playing very well to start, and then like look at the way he finishes that game, man. Just I don't know. I know the pick at the end is there's no time left. You're trying to make a play, but like it just 50%. Just this isn't going to get it done, man, in the NFL. And
I get you.
For all these people that were, the Packers, they do 3-6. These Packers are, man. You think these Packers are happy? Come on now. No. These are the cheeseheads. They're only used to winning. Another
week where Aaron Jones' usage is highly questionable. I don't get it.
Yep.
Why?
I mean, you saw A.J. Dillon with 9 for 70, and then Aaron Jones was 13 carries and not much done there. I don't know, man. Here's what I'll say. I like Aaron Jones as a talent.
The 9 for 70 on A.J. Dillon's hilarious, too, when 40 of them came on
one play. I get you.
Meaning he got 30 yards on the other 8.
They would actually, because if you don't have that play, they'd have the same yards per carry, both bad. What I was going to say, though, Mike, is that with the offense looking like this at Jordan Love at the helm, like it really, I think, kind of makes what these guys are going to do as a whole inconsequential most weeks, man. Like you're going to be more often than not disappointed than you are going to have a really, really good week from Aaron Jones.
Cold World, I hope that's true. I don't know if you saw at the end of the game, but they had that pick on Jordan Love, and I believe it was KZ was running the ball back instead of just falling down because there's no timeouts. Like
I saw that.
He's getting a little interception yardage or whatever, but he got pushed out of bounds and then like slammed into a coach. I didn't know which coach it was, but I hope to God it was Matt.
Was it Canada? Okay. I just saw the highlight. I didn't actually pay that much attention. And I think we kind of covered the Steelers enough. All right, last game here, Mike, is the Bucks and Titans. So, Mike's sit of the week.
Fuck you.
He wasn't doing shit, and then he had a 43-yard reception. What do you want from me? I'm just putting it up.
Zach was doing backflips on it, even though the rest of the game he was dog shit.
I mean, the funny part was he actually that catch and run touchdown is what made his day. But he has been whatever you think about him. I don't think he's a very good actual between the tackles runner, but say whatever you want. He's been a good fantasy asset at the running back position, and his receiving work has been what has propelled him.
fantasy points are fantasy points. But sit of the week was because the Titans, kind of a stingy defense, and they did bottom up outside of
2.5 yards per carry. Yep.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough for him. But how about Baker Reagan just finding a way to win again?
Well, Baker did,
finding a way. He threw to Mike Evans.
I was just going to say, the target distribution, Mike, at this point is becoming pretty clearly. Evans is the guy. It's like it kind of reminds me a little of like him and Johnny. Like he just that's the guy he wants to go to. You know, back in A&M.
Yeah. That's the dude, man.
Yep.
When Mike Evans is healthy, that's the guy.
Yep, and Godwin, I think he'll probably have some weeks here and there, but overall, like this is what it's been all year. This 4 or 5 for 50 and 60 type performance, and
kind of uninspiring, right?
It's just like, frankly, it doesn't do anything for me. Lineup, best ball doesn't matter. Like I'm getting just a meh floor play kind of,
Right.
All these options at receiver, it's just I don't.
He's pretty much just riding on name value in those good old fields that we used to have back when he was a top 2-3 dynasty wide receiver asset, and that's kind of gone by the wayside, hasn't it? This is kind of eerily similar to the Juju Smith-Schuster career arc, ain't it?
I would say it has vibes of that. The only thing I guess to the Juju point, we saw Juju leave and go to new places and nothing happened. I kind of wonder if it's just a Baker doesn't prefer him as the 1A type thing, and if he gets a new situation, he could still, if he still has the juice. I don't know that he's done for or cooked or whatever, but this year, Mike, honestly, I'm not start sit type stuff. If I'm looking, if I need a week that's going to give me upside, like it's not coming from Chris Godwin weekly, frankly, at all.
Yeah, I was trying to look too. I mean, he is under contract for 2024.
Right.
So,
is that the last year, I think, right?
Yeah. They can get out. So they can get out, but the cap hit is like 27
It's
million.
significant, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
They ain't doing
Maybe a trade scenario, but I mean, even then, it's kind of a tough deal, right? They gave him a lot of money. So
here's my question now to finish this up. You hate to finish it up on a gross note. It's kind of just the way I ordered the games, I guess. But Mike, there was nothing inspiring at all for the entire team in Tennessee, frankly, this week.
No, everybody was horrible.
And this is the question I have. Like, if you're able, you've gone past the deadline now. This is like a one of these failed contenders that let the deadline come and go, and now what do you do? Yeah. You got Henry, you got Hopkins. They're 3-6. Those guys aren't going to be happy the rest of the year. Like, I don't know what this team is going to be probably in for a really tough rebuild going through. Levis he looked much more I don't know, okay today. She didn't show the great sides of Will.
He looked a lot more like the Will Levis people had concerns about coming out of Kentucky, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. He wasn't good. He wasn't good.
Nah, he was 19 of 39 on a pick. I mean, it wasn't good. They had 6 points.
Yeah, he didn't play well. Offense line was dog shit. They couldn't do nothing. Couldn't run the football. Couldn't throw the football. Couldn't stop Baker from throwing the football. It was not good. Titans do get the Jags. We just saw them lay a fucking goose egg, so maybe they kind of get back into it. Then the Panthers, very winnable game because the Panthers are horrible.
Don't worry. Fizzle's all concerned. I'm trying to get Fizzle riled up, and it's working at least. I'm going to get to it. Don't worry.
Listen, you can't keep putting wide receiver 1 when A.J. Brown exists. And you're rocking an A.J. Brown jersey, man.
Let's do it. Let's give Fizzle his. Damn it! I was actually kind of hoping he wouldn't know, but you can't.
Do we got to talk about this game? This was all disgusting.
It was a terrible, awful game. We're not going to talk about the Giants at all, but CD frankly is right now playing like him. He's playing like him, man. That dude is just. He is This is 3 weeks in a row, Mike, where you're like, holy shit! Yes. This is.
Him and Dak have been cooking. Been cooking, and their cooking has been very, very good. Not like Russell Wilson's cooking. This is actually good cooking.
This is good eating cooking, Southern.
This is what we all wanted to see from the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys are perfect right now, minus one thing. Tony Pollard is kind of...
I was just going to... Not kind of.
Okay. I was being nice.
I mean, really, here's the thing. Okay, you're in a situation where you're up destroying a team that's terrible. You get outperformed by Rico Dowdle and don't score a touchdown. What do we need to talk about anymore?
He doesn't look like old Tony Pollard.
If you're not killing it in a game, you win 49-17, Mike. Like, when is this great rushing Tony Pollard game coming? It's probably not.
Are we buying into Dak Prescott for the rest of the season? I say yes.
I think honestly we maybe panicked a little too soon, but it was enough of a sample size to be there. And he's older, so you get a little freaked out. Dak Prescott, I think the offense since the bye, especially the week before the bye, you saw a lot from it, and then after the bye, it's looked very, very different. And they're throwing the ball like crazy, man. Dak Prescott was throwing the ball late in this game, third quarter. You know, they're killing this team. What do you think, Mike? Honestly, with Dak, where are you at?
I'm in. I think I'm going to do it. He has a very tasty playoff matchup. Yep. And by tasty, I mean the Buffalo Bills do have a pretty good defense, but their offense is so good. A lot of these games tend to be shootouts. So that's the first one you're talking about. The Miami Dolphins, we've seen them get boat raced at times. So yes, that is kind of a good thing to have in the fantasy playoffs. And then it culminates with your championship game with the Detroit Lions. While they're a good defense, we just saw a 41-38 shootout. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb could set up very, very well for the fantasy playoffs. I would also throw Jake Ferguson in there. Would you buy into Brandon Cooks? Now, we've seen a couple weeks of Brandon Cooks not sucking, but most of the
You knew I had this in here. Okay. You knew I had this in here.
Most of the time this year, he's been dog shit.
Hey,
are you buying back in?
I would say this. In best ball, especially where I have him and couldn't move him, I'm thrilled. In lineup leagues, Mike, the question becomes, like, if you have a long lineup league or you have a flex spot you're trying to fill, like, do you believe in this guy weekly? I believe in the offense weekly. So I think by default, there's going to be about 3 people at least that could have a chance to eat. And the reality is, Mike, at least today showed me that it's not Michael Gallup with 2 catches. It's not any of the other guys. It's going to be Ferguson. I think it's going to be CD. Clearly wide receiver 1, targets, volume, everything. I think that Ferguson probably is the guy that projects to be, the tight end safety net that Dak Prescott's always used. But if there is a third person that you want in the offense, it is Brandon Cooks. I think he's now established that, and I guess the question is, how safe do you feel with him weekly? That's a tough conversation, frankly. We've seen both sides of it right now.
I'm with you. It's. I don't think I trust him in lineup leagues. Best ball, I'd be a little bit more interested in seeing if I can get him for a pick. Let's say I would rather pay that late second for Brandon Cooks than I would Noah Brown. How about that?
Okay, that's fair. I mean, the reality is both of those, right? They're assets that have tremendous volatility, but you're buying because it's attached to a high-powered offense. And Brandon Cooks and Noah Brown, either one of them gets hurt. That was a terrible, awful trade. But you're doing it to try to win a title, right?
Who would have guessed we were going to peg the Houston Texans as a high-powered offense? And I think you can reasonably say the running back you'd rather own between Dallas and Houston is Devin fucking Singletary. What?
Devin Singletary's done something that no Dallas, no Tony Pollard's done this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen Tony Pollard yet.
I will put this comment up here. I saw this CD. Let me at least for those who tune in a little bit later on. Let's
3 games. That's cute.
First wide receiver to get 150 yards 3 games in a row. A.J. Brown's little 125 streak was cute, though.
It is cute because it's also put us in first place. I don't see you up in first place in your division. It's weird. I'm looking. Can you help me look at them? Where's Dallas at? Are they in first place?
They're not in first.
No.
Who's in first?
I believe it's Fly, Eagles, Fly. Because Fizzle's going to wear an A.J. Brown jersey.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to you and the Eagles and Cowboys rematch. I think the Cowboys are starting to look like a much more consistent team. I don't know that they're. I think the way the last game went though, I'm excited to watch that. Just as a outsider fan that's not biased to either side. The Eagles are going to be a tough fucking beat for anybody in the NFC, man. They're that good. Jalen Hurts is really good. The offense is good. If you get in short yardage situation late, 3rd and 4th down, like you have a cheat code. Like that alone is such a big deal when you're playing this game of football too with Philly. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Dallas is very good. They're playing very, very well right now.
They're gonna probably get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, but they're fine. You know, they're the 3rd, 4th best team in the NFC.
Right now, they're by record, they're in the 3 spot. Yeah, exactly. But they're not going to get the 3 spot because that's not how it works. You know,
that's not how that works. They're going to
exactly
play a road playoff game in the first round. So
yep,
they'll probably get beat the shit out of by Detroit or something. Should be awesome.
Ooh, that would be a tough first matchup if they got Detroit. But
what they really hate to see is San Fran again.
Those are the 2 you want to avoid for sure first round. Now, I will say that back to fantasy, man. This offense is looking like a gold mine for the fantasy playoffs right now.
Yes. CeeDee Lamb looks really good. He looks like the dynasty wide receiver 3.
I mean, for sure, he's at least the wide receiver 3 in dynasty. I would say
you could make a case for Tyreek Hill still there too.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can make other cases, but like, I think CD's age and what he's starting to do points per game. If he was to keep this up, Mike, you're gonna start having conversations pretty high up this fucking board.
We'll say at least. I say at best dynasty wide receiver 3. How about that?
Okay. Well, Tyreek Hill on the contender side is such a cheat code, but just when you factor in his age and the dynasty value, most people aren't going to put him in the 3 mix.
I'd love to. Fizzle's talking shit, and yet December's coming up, and we know how Dallas acts in December. So,
well, we're going to find out.
December, we'll have to hold Fizzle. We'll have to give hugs. We'll be rocking.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the
choke like always.
I always love I like little stuff like this in South Harmon. We have a nice, happy, friendly, healthy rivalry brewing, and it's gonna be fun.
I don't have to worry about it. They've been choking since 1995. So
I will say, whoever wins that game is going to be ruthless. They're going to be intolerable.
I would never be able to do fantasy content if my wife could choke like the Dallas Cowboys.
Damn,
I would be exhausted. I'd be drained.
I think on that note, we have buried enough bodies out here. I don't want to bury too many more. Gibson is buried. He's trying to come back to life. We need to bury some other people next week, I think, man. We need to. Jahan Dotson. Can we bury Christian Watson?
Yeah, definitely bury that dude.
We need to get into some of the negatives next week. Like, who is just completely flamed out this season in another week? Guys that are just killing teams that we're trying to contend. But a lot of good things that we saw this week.
42 yards to Devontae Adams. He's back. He's back.
We'll see you back here. Same time, same place next week for the Sunday recap. We're out of this thing. Peace.